Hello, everyone. A large part of the self help movement is hung up on thinking because we don't know anything else, do we? Replace negative thinking with positive thinking. You are what you think, you are the creator of your reality. But I've always seen this stage as the preschool, the kindergarten of self work. Positive thinking is still limited to and by the mind. I see it as a very, very deprived, poor place to be, even though I agree that positive thinking is definitely much, much more advanced than where negative thinking would leave you for the most part. But even that advancement is actually nothing. It's before even it's before even the first step of self-work really begins. When you start to do real work on yourself, you start to disconnect with thoughts. Not that thoughts will stop coming. People assume that to be in a meditative state is to not have any thoughts at all. This can happen. You can have a few moments of this, or you can have large periods of this, but it's not a permanent space to be in. You can go quite a long time meditating without ever experiencing thoughtlessness as well. It depends. It's a personal experience. So thoughtlessness is really not the goal. And it may not even necessarily be useful. It may not necessarily be meditative. I've seen people going into emotional shutdowns where they have no thoughts. They're in a completely blank state, but that's not a good place to be. So when you start the right kind of self-work, when you start going deeper and deeper, unpeeling the onion layers of your consciousness, you start to create a distance between yourself and the thoughts. And you are not your mind. In our generation, I think we associate a lot. There's a lot of identification with the mind. But you're not the mind. With the right sort of work, you become someone who uses the mind rather than being controlled by the mind, rather than being enslaved by the mind, rather than being confused, in identity with the mind. So you start to create a distance with these thoughts, and thoughts don't control you anymore. So it doesn't matter whether you have positive thoughts or negative thoughts. They're just thoughts. They don't matter anymore. They don't impact your life anymore. They come and they go, and that's it. You start to use thoughts after this to make things happen. You need to do thinking when you're planning something, when you're creating something, when you're going to give a speech, for example, you're going to have a conversation, you need words. So this is when you use thoughts to make things happen. The need for vision boards and visualization and projection and all of these things disappear because you don't create from the mind anymore. You are much more in tune with the creator aspect of you. And you know what? Despite everything that all of these manifestation things, ideas tell you, the creator does not live in the future. The creator lives in the present. When you fantasize, you are not being present. Yes, I know they tell you all these ideas that you are, making the future present, whatever they have used to explain it. But when you fantasize, you're not being present. And real creation does not need any visualization or fantasy, because you know in your bones already what is about to come. You know what it feels like to be there. You are already there. And thoughts are a tool you use to get there. Does any of this resonate with you? Does it make sense to you? Have you begun your journey yet into going beyond thoughts? The easiest way, of course, in my experience, and I'm saying this after 25 years of exploring and trying to find a substitute, because Reiki has a sort of bad name out there. People and I understand, because Reiki is something that does not give you the satisfaction of control, so I understand why people would prefer any other method to Reiki. But that's precisely what makes Reiki irreplaceable. It's the most ego dissolving system that I have encountered in everything that I have come across so far. So, have you begun your journey yet into going beyond thought? My own very first experience of going beyond thought was unexpected. It happened in a spontaneous past life recall that happened to me a lot for many years. Just sitting, doing something, and having a spontaneous past life recall, and I may or may not have been meditating when it happened. But I saw myself going through death. I was dying in a particular life. I probably was murdered, I don't remember. And then I died, and I had these guides come to receive me, and I couldn't see them. There was no communication, nothing, but I just knew. I just knew what they were communicating. And of course, in that moment, you don't realize what's going on. It's after if we can call it, woke up. After I woke up, I was trying to explain this to friends and family, and I realized that I didn't actually have the words. What was the message? I don't know. I have to put words to it. And that was just the first time, and this is really just the tip of the iceberg. At that time, it was a very new experience. I was like, wow. So I just had a conversation without any words, or, there's a lot of non-verbal conversations that happen with eye contact and, just a shake of the head, or even through, when you are silent at the right time, in the right intensity and the right duration, you can communicate a lot, even just by not saying or expressing anything. But this was none of that. There was nothing to see. There was no perception involved in this communication. It was just communication without anything. And that was just the first time. And like I said, tip of the iceberg. Over the last decade or so, because this happened, I think, in around 2011 or 12. And over the last decade, it has happened in much deeper ways, of course. This particular phenomenon still happens in my work a lot. Anyone who has received healing with me will probably tell you there are moments where I go, I need to search for the right words to express what I just know. But when you start doing all this work, you go a lot deeper. And I have to stop here, because this is as far as I can go if I this whole journey. Beyond this, there's no way I can describe it. There's no say or show to express what happens beyond that. It can only be experienced. I think there are students of mine that would agree. I think anyone who has started on the journey of Reiki will at least have a clue of what I'm talking about. So that is all I wanted to say today. Just this question: do you know what I'm talking about? Does it resonate with you? Does it make any sense? And if not, do you want to start finding out? Now, well, see you soon. Bye-bye.